Welcome to Story Planet, where we bring you relaxing tales to help you unwind. Tonight's story is The Shepherd's Journey. So settle in, get cozy, and let yourself drift into a world of rolling hills, endless skies, and a shepherd's quiet path through the unknown. Now, let's begin. High in the hills of an ancient land, where the earth stretched into soft green waves and the skies were wide and endless, lived a shepherd named Luca. He was a quiet soul, content with the simplicity of his life in the high pastures of his homeland. Each day, he walked the hills, guiding his flock through meadows of sweet grass, with his loyal sheepdog, Mira, always at his side. He knew every curve of the land, every sound of the forest, and every shift in the weather. The hills were his world, and in their quiet solitude, he found peace. But as the leaves began to turn golden, and the winds carried the first whispers of autumn, a messenger arrived in Luca's village. He brought a letter, an unexpected one, from Luca's brother Thomas, who lived far to the east in a village Luca had not seen since childhood. Thomas was unwell, the letter explained, and he needed Luca's help to tend his farm through the winter. The words lingered in Luca's mind long after the messenger left, stirring a deep yearning within him, a concern for his brother, but also a pull toward the lands he had once called home. Memories surfaced of the two of them as boys, running through the fields near their village, their laughter echoing in the air. The hills had been his sanctuary, but the thought of Thomas needing him made the decision clear. He would set out at once. Packing only what he needed, Luca prepared for the journey. He gathered enough food for himself and his flock, a sturdy woolen blanket for the cold nights ahead, and a carved wooden staff given to him by his father. With Mira at his side, he left the familiar hills, leading his sheep onto the winding paths that stretched toward the east. The journey would be long and uncertain, but Luca believed the road itself would reveal its wisdom in time. The first days were gentle, the landscape opening into wide plains where the air was warm and the grass stretched like a sea beneath an endless sky. Each evening, Luca found quiet places to rest. One night, he camped beside a small stream where willow trees dipped their branches into the cool water. As the sheep drank, he knelt by the edge, cupping his hands to fill his flask. The quiet gurgle of the stream was soothing, a reminder of how the land provided its own kind of comfort. On another evening, a fisherman along the riverbank offered him a loaf of bread in exchange for a bundle of wool. They sat together by the fire, sharing stories of their lives as the stars emerged above them, twinkling like distant lanterns. As days turned into weeks, the land began to change. The plains gave way to forests, their tall trees standing like ancient guardians. The sunlight filtered through their golden leaves, casting dappled patterns on the ground. The air was rich with the scent of pine and earth, and Luca felt a quiet awe as he walked beneath the towering canopy. At night, the forest came alive with the calls of owls and the rustle of unseen creatures. He built small fires to keep Mira and the flock safe, the flames casting flickering shadows that danced on the bark of the trees. The journey grew more challenging as he climbed into rocky foothills, the paths narrower and the winds sharper. Storms swept in suddenly, drenching him in cold rain and forcing him to seek shelter in caves. Inside, the sound of the rain echoing against the stone walls created a strange music that filled the dark. Mira stayed close, her watchful eyes ensuring the flock remained safe. Despite the hardships, Luca felt a growing strength within him. Every step forward deepened his connection to the land, and he began to see the journey not as a trial, but as a part of the life he was meant to live. One evening, as the first snow of the season began to fall, Luca crested a hill and saw a small village nestled in the valley below. Its chimneys puffed smoke into the frosty air, and the windows glowed warmly with the light of fires and lanterns. His heart leaped with recognition. It was Thomas's village, the place where he had spent his earliest years. The sight filled him with a sense of homecoming he had not felt in decades. When he reached Thomas's farm, he found his brother waiting by the gate. Thomas's face, weathered by time, broke into a smile as Luca approached. Though years had passed since they had last seen one another, the bond between them remained as strong as ever. They embraced, their laughter carrying into the crisp evening air, and Luca felt a deep gratitude to be standing there. The winter passed quietly, but with purpose. Luca worked alongside Thomas, mending fences, tending to the animals, and preparing the fields for spring. The days were filled with the steady rhythm of farm work, and the evenings brought the warmth of a crackling fire. They shared meals of hearty stew and fresh bread, and as the night deepened, they talked of old times. Thomas shared stories of his life in the village, while Luca recounted the journey and the beauty he had seen along the way. Mira, ever watchful, curled up by the fire, her presence a constant comfort. As the weeks went by, Thomas's health improved, and Luca began to notice a change in himself as well. The journey had left him with a sense of clarity, a deeper understanding of the land, of his brother, and of himself. One snowy evening, Thomas handed Luca a small wooden carving of a shepherd and his flock. "For you," Thomas said, his voice filled with gratitude, "to remind you of the journey you've made." When spring arrived, it was time for Luca to return to his hills. Saying goodbye to Thomas was bittersweet, but both brothers knew that the bond between them would remain strong, no matter the distance. Luca packed his satchel, gathered his flock, and set out once more, retracing his steps through the now familiar landscapes. The plains, the forest, and the hills welcomed him back like old friends, their beauty unchanged, but their meaning deeper. When Luca finally reached his home, the sight of the green hills filled him with a quiet joy. He had left as a shepherd, and he returned as one, but the journey had changed him in ways he could not fully explain. The land, the road, and the people he had met along the way had left their mark on him, weaving a tapestry of memories that would stay with him forever. And so, Luca returned to his pastures, his heart full of gratitude. Each step of his journey had been a thread in the fabric of his life, and as he walked the hills once more, he knew that every path held a story worth telling. Thank you for joining us on Story Planet. If you felt like you were walking beside Luca through the hills and forests, consider giving a thumbs up. If this story brought you peace and calm, feel free to share it with friends and family. Don't forget to subscribe for daily stories from Story Planet, offering serene escapes every day. Wishing you a peaceful night and a relaxed sleep. Sweet dreams